Hi, thank you for joining. In today's video, we're just going to go over the use of quotation marks in a sentence. In other words, where they would go in a sentence, how we can determine where they go. Also, we're going to pay attention to what are known as things known as operative words, which could give us clues as to how to end the part of the sentence that ends in a quotation mark or that needs quotation marks, because that is considered a separate clause from the sentence that those quotation marks are included in. Not always, but in the cases I'm going to give as examples, that will be the case. So let's go ahead and just jump right in to kind of give you an idea of what I'm talking about. All right, so for the first sentence, which reads, there are many different types of animals at the zoo, said Mrs. Weaver. Okay, here we can tell that, okay, well, right away we're giving credit to Mrs. Weaver. So it says, said Mrs. Weaver. So right away we know she is the one who is saying, well, okay, what was being said? Well, let's look at the first part of the sentence. There are many different types of animals at the zoo. So I know to wrap this portion of the sentence in quotation marks, except it is considered a separate clause within the sentence. So it does need to end in some form of a punctuation mark. In this case, she's making a statement. And I know for interrogative sentences, I would end with a question mark. Exclamatory sentences, I would end with an exclamation mark. In this case, a statement is just a general sharing of information, so I'm going to end it with a period. Oops, that's my eraser mode, forgive me. I'm going to end it with a period within the quotes, not after the quotes. However, following those quotes, I'm going to go ahead and insert a comma. Now, this isn't always the case, so I'm going to go ahead and erase that period. In many instances, you're going to see a comma embedded within the quote, which negates the use of that second comma after the quotation mark. Either way is acceptable. Truthfully, I think it's best practice to end that sentence with a comma within the first clause, rather than ending it with a period and then incorporating a second comma. Okay, let's take a look at the second example. Will we get to see the monkeys asked Lily? And so we have an operative word here, which is asked. So we know the kind of sentence is going to be an interrogative, which means it's a question. She's requesting information. And we know that Lily is the one who's asking. So I can tell right away that these last two are not going to be included in the quotation marks because that's not what's being mentioned at all. That's where the credit is being given. So I know just offhand that, well, will we get to see the monkeys? Asked Lily. Because she's asking, I know to end that clause with a question mark. However, that comes, just as a reminder, that comes before the final quote. But you do hear a pause in the sentence as I read it. So will we get to see the monkeys? Asked Lily. So there's a pause there, which means right after, and I'll kind of zoom in, it's really hard to tell just based on how I drew it, but after there should be a comma. I'm sure you can be a lot more elegant than I was. All right, let's look for at the third sentence, which reads, Bobby replied, the monkeys are my favorite. So here we are giving credit to Bobby as having replied, meaning he's responding to someone else's question or to a thought or an idea. In this case, he's responding to her question, which is, the monkeys are my favorite. So Bobby replied, I hear a pause, the monkeys are my favorite. Now, that would be his statement. So I'm going to go ahead and end his idea or his statement with a period, which will come before the quotation marks, not after. And I should also add that because it is considered a new clause, I would capitalize the T in the. It's treated as a new sentence. Even though it's, the entirety of this statement or of this sentence is just one sentence, but there are two different clauses embedded. So the first part is Bobby replied, and then what he replied is, the monkeys are my favorite, which is, again, his statement, which is treated as a new sentence within one sentence. So a little confusing. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at number 4, if I can zoom out. All right. Mrs. Weaver exclaimed, we will see all the exciting animals in their natural habitat. So right away, I can tell that, sorry, give me a second. Oh, okay, right away I know Mrs. Weaver exclaimed. So I go back to an exclamatory sentence, which ends with an exclamation mark, and I know that she's expressing a strong or heavy emotion. So I know to end her statement or whatever she says with an exclamation mark. And I also know that she's the one who is doing it. So she exclaimed, comma, we will see all the exciting animals in their natural habitat, exclamation mark, and then I'm going to go ahead and end my quotes there. Now, just as we did for number 3, where we treated this quote as a separate clause, which it is, we're also going to treat it as a new sentence. Therefore, we're going to capitalize the first letter in the quotation mark for that statement or what they're saying. And we're going to go ahead and look at number 5, which is watch out for the lions, shrieked Susan. So here we know Susan is shrieking. And if you think about a shriek, it's like a very shrill yell or cry. And that would be expressive. So we know it's likely an exclamatory sentence. And I know that what she exclaimed in this case is watch out for the lions, and then comma, shrieked Susan, because it's all a part of one sentence, but there are 2 separate clauses. So again, we're going to end her statement, or what she said, her exclamatory statement, with an exclamation mark, finalize those quotes because she doesn't say anything else beyond that, pause it, shrieked Susan. So we're giving credit to her. And we're going to do one more example. The others you can also try on your own for those that can see on screen. For number 6, it says, but will we get to look at the monkeys? Inquired Lily. And here we can once again tell, okay, inquired's our operative word. Lily's the one who inquired. When you inquire, you're asking a question. You're requesting information. So we know that what Lily inquired was, but, pause, will we get to look at the monkeys? Question mark, because it's an inquiry. And of course, a pause. This one, it doesn't look like it, but the pause comes after the quotation marks, because you'll notice Lily is asking a question. She's not pausing anywhere except at the beginning of her sentence or her question. So there's no other comma within that beyond the initial pause. It'll come after to give credit to who asked that question. All right, and then hopefully, if I can clear this, you should be able to see number 7, 8, and 9 on your screen. And you'll notice they also don't end with any proper punctuation, much like the others, which I'm noticing now. So forgive me for that. The sentences themselves should end with periods. Anywho, I neglected number 2. So feel free to fill in the blanks, or rather tell me in the comments or through Google Classroom where your quotation marks have gone, which kind of punctuation mark you ended those clauses with, and also any other points you'd like to mention, such as the use of an additional pause, or perhaps the absence of a pause that you felt was better suited for the way that you read the sentence. All right, great. Thank you again for joining me. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing, and I look forward to the next video. All right, bye.